right, another patron request here for VC Andrews, Flowers in the Attic. This is a terrible, terrible DVD. And can you guys even see? Is that even Christy Swanson? That doesn't look like her. Is it? I can't tell. It don't look like it. In fact, I don't know if any of these people are. Reminds me of that Slumber Party Massacre 2 cover where one of the girls is clearly not one of the girls from the movie. Anyway, so I saw this when I was pretty young, teenager, and I haven't seen it since. And my memory of this movie is okay-ish. But the weird thing about this film is that this is always kind of talked about as an incest film. And that's how I remember it. And that's how it's always talked about. But it's really not. Like, there's incest in the movie because we find out, spoilers obviously, that the mom left with her dad's half-brother and had 4 kids with them. So all the kids are products of incest. So yes, that side of the story is incestual. That being said, the incest that I thought was part of this film is in Chris and Kathy's characters, and it's really not anything in here incestuous. I thought for sure they were romantic in this. I thought for sure they kissed and maybe even had sex. That does not happen in this movie. That really surprised me. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Unless I was taking notes or something and I missed a kiss or something, but there was definitely no romantic scene. So, odd, because if you look at Amityville 2, The Possession, the relationship between the brother and the sister in that is way more incestuous than this. I mean, they actually fuck in that movie, but even before, they're all over each other. They're pretty close, really close throughout that movie. And then as the possession takes over and he's corrupted, and she's the one that's not corrupted and is still into it. So I don't know. So here's what I did. I went and I read the plot synopsis, which takes you through the entire thing on Wikipedia for the book, just out of curiosity of how different it may be or may not be. And it's pretty fucking different. I mean, there's definitely a lot of similarities, but that one's set in the 50s. This one is not. That's not a huge thing or anything, but it's noteworthy. The mom kind of comes infrequently and then eventually just leaves and gets married and is married to that guy. At the end of this movie, she's getting married. In the book, she's married well before that. And there's even a scene, and this is where the incest comes in the book, where I guess they're going down into the bedroom to gather rings and jewelry and stuff to have to sell when they're out, which is sort of what they do in here. They do talk about that, but in this they're kind of periodically doing it and getting a collection. Anyway, she goes down there and she ends up kissing her mother's new husband. I don't know if he's asleep or not. I couldn't get a clear read on that because it's very brief and it's more the notes what are those called again? Cliff's Notes. Cliff's Notes. God, remember Cliff's Notes, guys? And then she goes upstairs, and Chris finds out about it, and he rapes her out of jealousy. And then she feels terrible about it because she feels like she did something wrong. And then the brother dies, and she blames it on God punishing them for having sex. So, and then yeah, I mean the mother ends up leaving, going away. The grandfather's dead for like 2 years in the book. Before they come down, they find out and they leave, and they decide ultimately that they want to be together and that they don't want to expose their mom, so they just let her go. And she says to herself, like, maybe one day I'll take her down or something, and then I don't know. But there's other books beyond this, Petals in the Wind or some shit. As far as the flowers in the attic, another thing that I saw from the book is that they cut up like a bunch of flowers and make the whole attic into what looks like a garden for the kids, so that they can feel better being up in this attic, so they can feel like they're outside. And this, they don't really do that. So the title doesn't really work that well, even though they're supposed to kind of be the flowers in the attic. Regardless, anyways, there's just a good amount of weird differences. This is also a PG-13 movie, which this kind of story, I just don't see how you think you're going to be able to do this PG-13, but they went for it. And another thing I was pretty surprised about is that this, I thought for sure, even while watching it, that this was a made-for-TV film. It is not. It went to the theater. It had a box office for the theater. So this was intended for the movie theater. This feels like a made-for-TV film. So kind of crazy to me that this is a theatrically released film. This does not look like one, nor does it feel like one. I think the acting in this is pretty poor, especially from Kristy Swanson. I don't think she's very good in this movie at all. I think she has like pretty bad 80s TV acting. And that's why. I mean, that and the soundtrack, the way it's shot, everything feels made for television. So maybe they made this for TV. That's why it has like the PG type rating. And then we're like, well, it's based on a popular book. Let's release it in theaters. Now, this has been remade or readapted a couple times. You have a show that wasn't even that long ago, called Flowers in the Attic, The Beginning or something. I think that was like 2 or 3 years ago. 2022, I think it was what it was, or 3 years ago. And then you have one before that in like 2014 that was an actual like adaptation of all the V.C. Andrews books on this Dollenganger, something like really close to Doppelganger family like series saga. And they adapted the 4 novels she wrote. I guess somebody ghost wrote another one after, but it was after her death, and it was based on notes or whatever. But they have this series of 4 books, of the 4 books in this series, and they adapted each one in this TV series. I'd be curious to see them. I'm not going to rush to them, and I went online, I looked, and it doesn't seem like it's anywhere. I couldn't find them absolutely anywhere to watch. It did say Sling, but I was trying to figure out if that was even real, but I'm not going to get fucking Sling, obviously. That shit's way too expensive for anything. Anyway, the family in this is just awful, obviously. I mean, this is like Mommy Dearest or any of these types of films where the parents are just dreadful, Carrie, whatnot. You got Nurse Ratched in here, Louise Fletcher, and yeah, she's just a monster. Like, I hate to sound like I'm always harping on religion, and I don't want to be that guy, because I know there's people out there who are just religious, or at least like believe in Christianity or whatever, Islam, whatever they want. But it's always the religious nuts, guys. It's always the religious fanatics. It's never the agnostics. It's never the fucking atheists. It's always the religious fanatics. So this is why I am so against organized religion. Because there's too many nutcases out there with their beliefs. If you're... if you think that a god would want you to do the things that these people are doing to their children or their grandchildren in this fucking story, and you think that that is like just because of what they want you to do, even if that was true, then I would have no interest in God. So let's just say, for instance, that people are like, oh, my God is a vengeful God. My God is a jealous God. My God is like all these things. Okay, people are like, oh, you'll fear him if that's true. I mean, I guess, but at the same time, I don't want anything to do with an asshole like that. That's fucking insane. That's fucking insane. So you guys can have all the fun you want fearing something like that, but to me, there's no way some omnipotent being, some all-powerful deity, could be so fucking petty and evil. That's just straight up vindictive evil shit. This whole like martyr complex people seem to adopt in their religious ideology is just, it's so misguided. I'll never understand why so many people fall into that, where they're like, God wants us to suffer. God wants us to not have any fun. It doesn't want us to do anything. He just wants us to suffer in his name, and I guess we'll be righteous and accepted into heaven. Like, we have to be in pain and misery to prove ourselves. Like, what the fuck kind of sick ass Saw game do religious fanatics think that God, like, is God Jigsaw in their mind? He's trapped them in some fucking like bathroom trap, and they have to cut off their own fucking feet to prove themselves worthy into his promised land. Like, I'll never understand this mentality. So anyway, but this is, this is relevant. This isn't, I'm just going on some fucking tangent for no reason. This whole movie is like based around the grandmother's religious fanaticism, and she's taking it out on them in the name of God, which is absolutely insane, literally. So it's a shame, because I think God and religion can be such a beautiful thing for people. Like, I think that finding your spiritual center and what you believe in the world, it can be a profound thing. And I think it's great for people to, have that kind of reflection and sense of self and surety in what's to come, and that's all great. But the people who do this kind of shit, I don't know what this is. This isn't God. That's not what this is about. This is about control. This is about so many other things. So don't ever believe or fall for the idea that they're just committed to their beliefs. That's not what this is about. They're very broken people that want to break others. They didn't have a good life, so they don't want you to have one either. They weren't able to be gay, so you shouldn't be able to be either. They're not able to do, have sex before marriage, so neither can you, right? It's that selfish thought of like, I can't have these things, so neither can you. That is the weirdest shit, because I was raised by a mother who was not good to me at all. And to think that I would ever want my kids to relive my trauma because that's what I see as fair. Like, well, I didn't get to have friends, so why should you? I didn't ever get to leave the house, so why should you? Because of that very reason, right there. You never got to do it, and you know how much that sucked. So you should be the first person to be like, here's why. And a lot of people are like this. A lot of people are like, my mother did this to me, or my father did this to me. I will never do that to my kids. And that's great. That's breaking the cycle. But the mother in this, she's even worse than the grandmother. Like, I thought she was a monster. The mother is beyond a fucking monster. She is some word that hasn't even been invented. How you could do this to your children is crazy to me. The whole, like, poisoning them with arsenic thing doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Because, I mean, let's break this down logically. So, in this story, it is shown in the will that they find after the grandfather has been dead for 2 months. Yes, in the book it's been much longer, but in the movie it's been 2 months. There's a clause in there that says if it's to ever be found out that she has kids from her previous marriage, then she loses everything, right? Null and void. So no one can know they exist, even though they have birth records. Like, I don't understand how this would even hold up, because anybody could just be like, okay, I can prove she has kids. Pretty simple, right? Anybody who knew her from a previous time, or anybody who looks into it at all. The fact that that clause is even in there would definitely raise some eyebrows and be like, okay, what the fuck? Maybe we should look into this. So anyway, but let's say that no one no one finds out, whatever. And she's trying to hide that fact. Okay. So if you're trying to hide that fact, then just dispose of your kids, right? Because when the little kid, Corey, gets sick and ends up dying, she is like, the grandmother forces her to take her to the hospital, but they clearly don't take the kid to the hospital, right? Like, the guy's digging a grave, and then it's to be revealed that there's 4 graves he's digging. They're not gonna just dig random fucking graves by hand on the property unless they mean to bury them unbeknownst to the law or anybody else, right? So to me, the way I took it is Corey, they just let him die. They took him out of the room, they let him die, and they threw him in that hole, and they buried him. And they were waiting for the arsenic to kill the other 3. But it's a slow death. Like, it's even more malicious that she's slowly poisoning them, right? Kind of like mercury poisoning or anything that has like a slow process. So I don't know why she doesn't just kill them. Like, this is to hide this shit from the grandma? I can't. Maybe, I mean, I would assume the grandmother is opposed to murder because murder's a sin, but or like one of the 10 commandments. But then that doesn't make any sense because that's contradicted in the Bible. Like every 5 fucking seconds, everybody's killing each other in there, and you got all sorts of examples of God even like making other people kill other people. So I don't understand any of that shit. I'll never understand the Bible. I don't think you're meant to be honest. But regardless, she's just hiding it from the grandmother. Is that what it is? Is that why she's not just outright like killing them? Like, just poison them once and for good. Like, isn't the grandmother like, if she's like, look, we can't murder him, That's wrong. But she also starves them for 1 week in the movie. In the book, supposedly it's 2 weeks. You'd be fucking dead. Chris has to go to the extent of feeding Corey his blood to try to keep him alive for the week that they don't have food. Then they're completely pale complexions from never getting any sun. The kid ends up supposedly getting pneumonia, but obviously he's just dying from arsenic poisoning. Awful. I mean, it's just so evil. But as I said, it begs the question, why didn't she just kill him? Is she just like in denial? She's like poisoning them, but then she's kind of got like a, well, am I? Like, I don't know. I don't know exactly what to make of that, because it's just like, just kill him. What the fucking, why torture them like this? Yeah, the fact the mom brought them there at first, the mom actually seemed like she cared about the kids for a minute, but ultimately she only really cares about the money and herself and the lavish life. And oh man, when she comes up to the attic and she's like all excited and she's looking all, rosy cheeked and is in nice outfits and has clearly been living high on the hog, as they say. The kids are like, look at how sick we are. She doesn't even notice how pale, how sickly her kids have gotten. She doesn't give a shit at all. And the mom does the whole like, oh my God, I'll come back when you guys are ready to treat me right. And this is like classic my mom. Like just the most manipulative, shitty kind of person you can imagine. So that scene actually hit pretty hard for me, personally. Because 100% this is the kind of shit that my mother and other awful mothers would do, where they would totally make it about them. Everything is about them. Pure narcissism. Just, how could you do this to me? How could you make me feel bad about abusing you? Like, why don't you ever think of me? I know I locked you in a room for a week without food, and I know it looks like you're dying, but what about me? What about my feelings? Always gaslighting, turning everything around, classic narcissism. So, yeah, no, unfortunately, it's hard to believe people like this exist. But let me tell you, man, they fucking exist. They absolutely exist. I mean, we know they exist. We've seen so many examples of this, whether it's Gypsy Rose Blanchard's mother who had Munchausen by proxy, or there's so many examples of just dreadful parents. Yeah. So yeah, these things are crazy. And the fact that the mom is like stripped down to her bra in front of her dad, I want to say the grandmother, I feel like there's more incest going on, like just hints of it with the mom and the grandfather, like her dad, because the way he's like, she's at the bedside of him and he's like looking at her, it just feels like the grandma is jealous of their relationship and I think she thinks everyone's incestuous. So maybe I'm just seeing it through her eyes. And then the way that their dad in the opening comes home and is like, comes into her bed and is like, you're my favorite, and gives her a present and is like touching her hair. Trust me, I love my kids and I love my daughters, and I touch their faces and I hug them, and I'm, we're a very loving family. So I don't want to say like a dad coming into his daughter's room, sitting on her bed, petting her head or like touching her face or whatever is weird. It's not. But because of how the movie is, I definitely was a little more suspicious of him, just trying to look out for signs of like, is something weird going on here? And it definitely has a vibe like that to it, but that might just be because I'm primed to it at that point, because I'm thinking like this is an incest movie, so I'm like looking for clues. I don't think there's anything he does that's like wrong, or anything, but I could definitely see he's possibly grooming her. But it never comes to fruition from what I can tell. But yeah, him like kind of sneaking into her room when he has three other kids, giving her a present and only her a present. Now that's fucking suspicious. That's crazy. You know, as a guy who has two daughters, I would never ever sneak into one of their rooms to hide presents from my other daughter and be like, you're my favorite here, and be serious about it. That's what it seemed like. He was being serious about it. So that's suspicious. That's weird. So it's possible. I don't know. I don't know what his intentions are. I mean, if he would fuck his brother's daughter, I wouldn't put it past him to go after his daughter. Cause that's crazy. That, yeah. Anyway. And then, yeah, as I said, like, you can tell the second that the grandmother like picks the kid up from her head, Carrie, and then kicks Corey. And then the mom tries to like put her foot down, and she's like, if you hurt my kids, what if she says, if you're cruel to my kids, I'll take them and leave. If you're cruel, you literally just saw her pick up one kid from the head, pick her up, and then the other one she kicked across the room. If you're cruel to my kids, they've been locked in a room, they're not allowed to exist. This is like Harry Potter's life. And then she's beating them in front of you. She never meant it, obviously. She came there for the money. It's so crazy how, like, she's supposed to be this very loving, normal mother. Then the dad dies, and she's like, I don't have anything. I guess I've got to go, get on my hands and my knees and go back to mommy and daddy's house. Never, ever, 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 ever would I go to my mother begging for anything, no matter what. I don't give a shit. I was homeless for 7 months of my life. I had no interest in calling my mother during that time. No fucking way, dude. No fucking way. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction, and I sure as shit wouldn't go back to that miserable life. Because it's like, what are you going to get out of it? Like, what purpose does it serve? You let her win, number one, and all you do is get the shit end of anything, right? You're not going to go back there and live some amazing life. Like she is in this scenario, kind of. She's getting bullwhipped and her mom still hates her, but she doesn't care because she just wants what she wants. But to just sell your kids out like that, pretend like they don't exist, lock them in an attic and just poison them slowly and let your kid die in front of you and not even care. The movie definitely feels unbelievable. There's no doubt about it. It just seems so cruel and so disconnected from any kind of like maternal instincts. But I know there's people that are insane and can be like this. I mean, the only thing like I would say is sort of odd, I guess, but not even that odd, is that the brother is in the bathroom with the sister when she's taking a bath, and he's helping her like wash her back and stuff. But like, we're not talking about a normal life here. This is like, if you walked in on a brother and a sister and she was bathing and he was in the bathroom with her and washing her back and she's naked, that would be odd, sure. And I would be like, okay, yeah, maybe something weird's going on here. They literally have the worst life imaginable. They have almost no privacy other than a bathroom door. They are together. They are scared out of their minds. They only have each other to rely on. And she wants her brother in there with her because she's fucking panicked. They've been in there forever. I mean, in the book, it's years and years. So to me, I don't know. It's not that weird. Like, I know people would be like, nah, it's fucking still weird. You should always this and that. Okay, that's fine. I just don't see it as that weird. Like, they need each other. And honestly, like, I was totally fine. Like, if they ended up being a couple after being locked in an attic together and they have a shit life and there's nothing else going on and they have no interaction with any other people and all this stuff, and they end up having some kind of incestuous relationship, I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them at all. They have no fucking life. There is no potential for anything else outside of there. They're young. They're, going through puberty. They're fucking, they're kids. I don't know. Like, I don't see it as that insane. I don't see it as that terrible of a thing. These are in extreme circumstances. This isn't a normal life that they're living. So to me, if there was anything incestuous actually going on between them, unless it was rape, like in the book, that's terrible, of course, always. There's never an excuse for that. But if they're fucking lonely and they're scared and they find solace and comfort in one another, and that turns romantic because they're confused and they're, hormones are raging and they clearly aren't getting any kind of educational background on, like, sex and partnership. And I know that, and plus it's a bit of a fuck you, right? Because the grandma's so against them being together, and because this whole thing's happening to them because their mom was having an incestuous relationship with her, uncle. I think that would even add to the, like, desire of, like, fuck you. This is what you ultimately don't want to happen. Well, this is the only way we can hurt you. And it, meets the criteria of everything else I said. I could see it. I could totally see it. So, anyway. That's just my thoughts on it. Everybody, of course, like, who thinks I'm fucking crazy, that's fine. But yeah. Yeah, it's just the only things that are happening in this movie. They also sleep in the same bed one night because Corey doesn't want to leave Carrie, and so they sleep next to each other one night. And then another thing is she walks in on them in, like, their pajamas or something, and she's, like, freaking out, and he's like, what do you expect us to do? We literally live in the same room. You expect us to never see each other? Get the fuck out of here. He's small. Because he's, like, 26 years old in real life, and he's supposed to be playing a 16-year-old. In the book, he's only supposed to be 14. And his grandmother's taller than him. I don't know how fucking tall this actor is, but that's a little guy. Yeah, I mean, they try to escape, but it's like a literal prison. There's guard dogs and there's floodlights, and they try to do anything they can to get the hell out of it. They just can't. The fact that that Chris actually tries to defend the mom. This is my brother, unfortunately. He's kind of like this. He's gotten much better about it in recent years, but he was always on the defense for my mom, no matter what she did to us. And funny enough, his name is also Chris. Maybe it's a Chris thing. But yeah, no, he'd always defend her. He would always try to see her side and take her side on things, and it was like, no, dude, this is insane. And so yeah, you got that with Kathy in here, who's just like, nothing is worth this, and Chris is like, well, I mean, we made it this far, we might as well just get the money and live out a great life. It'll all be worth it in the end. And it's like, dude, no, there's a line, and no price is worth going over that line for. And they went way over that line. One of their fucking siblings died from neglect, from abuse, from terrible, just awful. They would be charged with every cruel crime imaginable for that kid's death. So no, I don't care if it's all the money in the world. I don't care if it's in the entire net worth of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and whoever, the Warren Buffett and the Waltons, all of them together. I don't give a shit. I'm not letting my fucking brother starve or be poisoned to death over a long series of time. No, never. No, absolutely not. Literally could offer me absolutely anything on earth, and I would say no. There's just a line. You can never cross it ethically. And I don't need a God to feel moral or ethical. I'm not saying I don't believe in God or I do believe in God. I don't have any thoughts towards it. I'm an agnostic, if you don't know what that means. Because I don't know, and nor do you. Anyway. I mean, yeah, so the brother, Chris, wants to become a doctor. That's talked about throughout. He's very, you know, he studies a lot from the books that they find up in there, and that's how he's able to kind of keep an idea of what's going on. Them watching their mom be like in some elegant ball. Sorry for the yawning. It's 1:26 in the morning. But them like looking in at their mom as she's like dancing with some Prince Charming fuckface, and they're all just having this wonderful gala fucking ball like Cinderella or something. That's just, and they're all just like emaciated and you know, pale and gaunt and just, it's unreal. Like, God, I'm so glad she dies in the end. In the book, she gets away with it. She gets to go off and live her life and have the money. And now it's the first book. I don't know. Maybe in the following books, Kathy tracks him down and fucking kills him. I don't know. But in this one, she confronts her at her wedding. The guy's like, who the hell are these kids? And they're like, this is our mom. And she's like, I don't even know these kids. This is a cruel prank. To go from the loving mom that she is in the opening to the bitch who's literally trying to murder them and like pretend she doesn't know them. Crazy shit. Crazy shit. Just awful. What a horrible woman. Anybody who doesn't think that she deserves to die is crazy. Is crazy. Like, there's no fixing that. There's no fucking therapy. There's no prison. There's no nothing with that kind of chick. She doesn't get to live. I'm glad she's hanged. I'm glad she's dead. And I'd kill her myself. What an awful, horrible, dreadful human being who does not deserve to breathe ever again. And then, yeah, after that, we find out that Chris went to medical school, that Kathy returned to dancing, and that the little daughter, Carrie, grew up but was never fully better. She never ever was in good health after that. This fucked up her health for life. Which, yeah, look at Gypsy Rose Blanchard, like I was talking about earlier. Of course, all that shit her mom was giving her, all the drugs and everything that fucked up her system. Yeah, a doctor somehow removed her saliva glands from her. Like, what the fuck are we even talking about? Like, that's insanity. How that even could be possible, that a doctor would even approve of such a thing, is beyond me, but whatever. Flowers in the Attic. It's a maddening movie. It's as I said, it's very reminiscent of something like Mommy Dearest or Carrie, where you're just so mad at the parents. And I don't remember if Mommy Dearest is a religious fanaticism, but I would pretty much bet money that it is. or it's just straight up like vanity and anger. But these stories are always religious fanatic nutcases, always. So anyway, it's okay. It's a pretty poorly made movie, to be completely honest. And I really wish that they would have made an R version of this, went hard and like really like committed to how fucked up this story seems to be. So maybe those reimaginings, but those were made for TV, so I'm not going to hold my breath on that. See? I'm not going to hold my breath at all. I'm going to take in a huge yawn. So that's that. That's the first of two movies flowers in the attic. So I'll see you in the next one for the next of the double feature. So, adios.